Many fantastic talks today. We've been talking about personal stories, which is something I want to talk about. If I can find my speech. Bear with. I'm speaking on behalf of Na'amod Gloucestershire. Na'amod means we will stand. And we use it in our Jewish services when we're called to talk to listen to the Torah. Na'amod is a movement of Jews in the UK seeking to end our community's support for Israel's occupation and apartheid, and to mobilise it in support of freedom and equality for all Palestinians and Israelis. We're part of the wider movement of solidarity and collective liberation. We recognise that our liberation is bound up with the liberation of others, rather than in competition. We do not need to oppress others to feel safe, and we work to build bridges and stand in solidarity against all systems of racism and discrimination. As Jews, we have a proud tradition of standing with others, including at the Battle of Cable Street in 1936, when we joined with others against Mosley's black shirts. We affirm our belief in the universality of justice and the fair and equal application of international law. We have not forgotten that so many of the laws, charters and conventions established to safeguard and protect human life were created in response to the Holocaust. Asylum seekers today are individuals, human beings with their own personal stories, and we've heard some of them today. Many fleeing from violence, persecution, oppression or discrimination, and the consequences of climate breakdown. The media today does not grant asylum seekers the respect and dignity of individuals. They're lumped together as one homogeneous group, characterised as illegal immigrants, boat people, and usually with criminal tendencies or worse. The far right play on these reports and demonise the individuals and families who are living a pitiful existence in cramped and often unhealthy conditions. As a Jew, I feel I have much in common with those asylum seekers and refugees who are with us today in what we like to think is a welcoming and tolerant society and country. Like asylum seekers and refugees today, I have a personal story to tell. My grandparents were murdered by the Nazis at Mali Trotsinets, now part of Belarus, on the 1st of June 1942. My parents were refugees from Vienna in 1939. My father was placed in an internment camp on the Isle of Man as an enemy alien. However, he was eventually released and was able to fight for his new adopted homeland. Current conversations about immigration and asylum contain many false claims. These are harmful and fuel division. Wrongly blaming immigration distracts people from what is really making life harder for people in Gloucestershire and across the UK. These challenges are not caused by immigration. They're caused by wealth inequality and years of underfunding our public services. I'm appalled that the far right, both unelected and elected, is trying to make common cause with Jews who are legitimately worried about a rise in antisemitism, particularly after the attack on the Manchester synagogue. But this only increases fear in our community and stokes division. The Heaton Park Hebrew Congregation Synagogue was attacked on Thursday, the 2nd of October. On the very same day, a Muslim father and son were brutally attacked and hospitalised after a racist attack on Goscott Lane in Warsaw. Just 2 days later, there was an arson attack on Peacehaven Mosque in East Sussex. 2 people in balaclavas tried to force the mosque's door open before pouring gasoline on the steps and setting it alight. We must not listen to the weasel words of the far right, those patriots who, at least in Stonehouse, can't even fly the Union Jack correctly, but must find common cause with Muslims and all persecuted minorities who find themselves under attack. Sadly, I'm not new to standing up to hate. Back in 1977, nearly 50 years ago, I was secretary of Milton Keynes' campaign against racism and fascism. We had our own homegrown fascist in Terry Flynn, founder of the avowedly Nazi November the 9th Society, who were using the same tactics and arguments that we see today from the far right, and the people we see today in Gloucester. I am alarmed and angry that I'm still having to stand up to injustice after all these years. But like we demanded at Cable Street in 1936, and as we demanded in Milton Keynes, and as we demand now, we say, no passaran, they will not pass. Thank you.